The DuPont company in Delaware under attack for not living up to its promises, and there's a moratorium on charter schools in the state. Two of the topics we'll cover. This is the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. Welcome to the Delaware Way. DuPont is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, company in Delaware. And recently, a Teflon manufacturing factory on the border of West Virginia and Ohio in Parkersburg, West Virginia, has been linked in court in a class action suit to medical problems. And there is a chance, because of that court action, DuPont was told they had to pay a certain amount of money to monitor health problems in Parkersburg. But now, because of an offshoot company coming away from DuPont, there is a fear that they may get out of having to pay that money. And that brings us to our next guest to explain more about that. Harold Bock is an advisory board member of Keep Your Promises DuPont. It is an organization that was put together, and you correct me if I'm wrong, was put together to make certain that DuPont follows through with his commitment to pay $235 million to monitor the health of people in the Parkersburg area.
Absolutely. That's why it was put together.
That's the way to phrase it.
Yes.
What are the health concerns in that area?
Well, there's a number of health concerns, thyroid disease problems, kidney cancer, then there's with women of childbearing age, the problem there.
We should point out also you're from Parkersburg.
Yes, I am.
And how did you get involved in this?
Well, I've been in Parkersburg all my life, and a lot of friends, family. Others are involved in this thing. Nothing was really happening. And then when we seen that, when it was announced in the the local newspaper that DuPont was spinning off to a new company, we sort of pushed the alarm button. I'm a trade unionist, and I know that when companies spin things off, not always good things happen.
Let's explain that. You jumped ahead a little bit. I wanted to get to the health problems first, and then we'll get to the spinoff. But let's go there, since you're talking about it. So recently, this Teflon factory we were talking about that's owned by DuPont and has been the source of concern and medical problems. DuPont has announced they're going to spin off and make a new company. It's going to be a brand new company called Chemours.
That's correct.
And they're going to fund this company.
Yes.
But your concern is the amount of money that they're funding this company falls far short to what they're supposed to set aside to monitor the area.
That's correct.
And so you put together this organization to try to push DuPont to answer your questions as to, wait a second, you have a class action lawsuit that has been settled against you where you have to put this money aside for us. Where's the promise for that money? Where is the guarantee that money is still going to be there? And you've tried to talk to DuPont, and what's been the response?
Well, we've had no luck whatsoever with talking to DuPont. We sent an open letter to the CEO. We've sent petitions. We asked them for nothing other than transparency. Show us what the separation agreement is. Show us that, are you selling the liability? Are they assuming the liability? And to this date, they have said nothing or done nothing, and we don't have a clue.
Is your feeling that this is some type of corporate shenanigans, that they're trying to get out of their debt?
Yes.
And do you have any proof of that, or?
I have no proof at this point, but I feel that way because they're refusing to share the separation agreement and who is going to be reliable for the things that they've promised to take care of.
So their silence is what's suspicious to you?
Absolutely.
So they have $235 million set aside for this?
That's correct.
And how much have they spent monitoring?
A little over $50,000.
And what have they done so far?
Well, they've had a series of meetings around town, and that's the other thing that became very suspicious. These are mostly working men and women. And so they held meetings at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for them to come meet with the board.
The class action suit is to monitor potential health problems.
Yes.
And so you would think that medical professionals would be involved in that. And there would be some, if you're going to monitor health problems, wouldn't that have physical exams? Wouldn't you be going to a hospital? Wouldn't something be set up so people could show up and get checked? You said that all that's happened so far is a series of meetings?
Yes. Now they're doing some retesting, but they hired a large consulting firm, gave them big millions of dollars. That's the same people who did the oil dump down in the Gulf, that firm. So it's like they had a local doctor and they just went right away from him because he was being too local, I guess, in terms of what DuPont wanted. And so, no, they really have. They've made the promises. They keep saying every day in the paper, but they just haven't did anything that leads us to believe that they're going to follow through on the promises. And again, we was too patient. But then when it came out in the news all out of the clear blue sky that they was leaving, and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's important that that's what really scared us to point of the action that we're at, because not only had we not got much out of DuPont there, but all of a sudden DuPont was going to be out of the picture, and what was the deal they had with the spinoff company?
And I want to end with this. You're from there, so you have a feeling about Parkersburg that none of us have experienced. What has your town gone through since you started to find out there could be a problem leading up to now?
Well, there was mixed emotions. DuPont was sort of the big dog in town.
The big employer, too.
Big employer, yeah. That's what, yes. And so people was a little reluctant, if we say anything, what does this mean? And then all of a sudden, children started having thyroid troubles and started having the different diseases started coming out. So a bit more of concern started. But to this day, there's still people, like there is, I guess, right here in Wilmington, where they're going to move from here, who says, well, you know, it's for the good of the company. Forget about the people. And that's how people kind of feel there. But the community, nobody feels comfortable with drinking the water now. Because if it got into the ground and into a lot of these wells that were fed there, and this went down the Ohio River for miles down the road.
And you brought some water as well.
Yes.
This is Parkersburg spring water with C8, and C8 is the chemical can cause all these problems. Right. Yeah, you can take this back with you. I won't be taking it. Do us a favor, please, as this goes along, and where does it stand right now? The spinoff has not happened yet.
The spinoff has not happened.
And so there will be another court case? You'll be going to court to try to challenge this?
Yes.
And that's going to happen in the next couple of months?
Yes, and we're going to also keep the pressure up with activists and others that are both in Wilmington and in Parkersburg to try to get, if there's nothing wrong here, if they're going to live up to their promises, just show us and we'll be quiet. But silence can only lead us to believe that something's not right.
And you have this picture that you wanted to show, and we can show it now, of the CEO with hands over
her silence is deafening. Yes, and we also have, we've sent petitions not only from Parkersburg but here in Wilmington to her on the streets. We've talked to people. We've been here for the last couple of weeks, and no response whatsoever. Now, she signed. I sent the letter to her. The company, not her individually, signed it to receive the letter, but other than that, no response.
And we'll make the same offer also for a response from DuPont if they would like to come on the Delaware Way and respond to anything that you've said, or just talk about the story, or even send us a statement. We certainly would have a guest on or read a statement from DuPont if they want to send us one. Harold, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Harold Bock is an advisory board member of Keep Your Promises DuPont. The Delaware Way continues in just a moment.